You go to these classes within WCG and on the incident management side, and you walk away, and you automatically lose 50% of that knowledge in 48 hours.
Enchanted Sky Media.
This is Code 3, the Firefighters podcast. Now, here's your host, Scott Orr.
That's right, and I will not let Parkinson's stop me. Thank you for joining me again. This is the show for and about firefighters. We're informing and entertaining members of the fire service just like you from coast to coast. Hey, stick around after the interview today for a new special segment. Now, is there a typical fire? Probably not. But there is a most common fire. Single-family residential fires add up to about 3/4 of all structure fires. In the National Incident Management System, these types of incidents are considered Type 4 or Type 5. That's the lowest type of incident overall, the least complex. But today's guest says a lot of departments aren't specifically training ICs to deal with them. They sort of learn on the job. That's not bad in and of itself, but it often leads to confirmation bias. Here to explain that is Chief Brian Schaeffer of the Spokane, Washington Fire Department. He's been on the job at fire departments for more than 25 years, and he serves on several local and state public safety and health-related committees. And Chief Schaeffer joins me now to look at confirmation bias and how it gets in the way. Thanks for being on Code 3 today, Chief.
Hey, thank you very much.
Let's start by defining confirmation bias in this context. What is it?
Well, in a fire service context, it really is that people are prone to believe what they want to believe. So you go into a situation as a company officer, as a fire chief, battalion chief, whoever the designated adult is for that situation that we're sending resources to, and there's already an understanding in that person's mind that he or she are going to accept or not accept, the information that they're presented with, and do what they intend to do without really looking at the situation.
Now, how does that manifest itself on the fire ground?
Well, a bunch of different ways. We look at when we go back and look at the Type 4 type fires across the country, and even down. I just had a conversation the other day how we build our training centers. We have a great training center here. It's 5 stories, and we can move multiple companies in and do high-rise drill after high-rise drill and standpipes and all of this really low frequency, high risk stuff. But I think we're missing the prize here as a fire service. Really, where we need to be focusing is on these single family residential Type 5 structures that were essentially the meat and potatoes of our business. Not to say that the other incidents are less important. It's just focusing and starting our people with sets, reps, understanding the dynamics of a Type 4, Type 5 fire ground, and getting really good at that, and trying to build ourselves through training a level of resilience and understanding, so that when we do have this danger of confirmation bias, that we're able to respond to that effectively, recognize it, and keep it in check while critically thinking about the information the fire is telling us and making better decisions.
So now, how does on-the-job training of company officers lead to that? And would it be avoidable if they were trained specifically in training scenarios not on the job?
Well, what we've done as a fire service, and again, this is stereotyping and painting us as a fire service with a really really broad brush. I get that, and I understand that some people do this really well and others don't, and then there's the rest of us kind of in the middle who dabble in trying to develop a really robust Type 4, Type 5 IC program. And what we need to do, I believe, is develop policy based on best practice, and then spend a lot of time with our potential incident commanders, all the way down to people that may only have a couple years on the job, because they start to form those younger members, or the newer members, I mean, less amount of time on the job. They start to form their habits and their understandings based on the job training, or by modeling, watching what that company officer in the front seat, how he or she reacts and how he or she does business. So if we have an organized approach to incident management, especially on these on the majority of our business, we set up a system that talks about the psychological side. You can really spend time developing these people so that they recognize all of the psychological factors that can influence your decision making, and learn how to overcome those, and then put it in a context of training. So you learn about, you put all the things that we've made as a foundation for firefighters: building construction, fire behavior, chemistry, tactics and rescue, all of those foundational principles that I'm assuming everybody has, and then you apply them in a non-threatening fashion. Very often, I like to use the blue card as an example, a blue card system that the Bernascini family developed, and Phoenix Fire Department, to where you're brought into a model that is applied throughout their organization, and everything that we do, it recognizes clearly the psychological factors, and it builds on adult learning. So you're not put in a position of feeling stupid or feeling like you're inadequate, regardless of what your rank is, but you really are on the same platform as everyone else, and you're there to learn. You're there to develop sets and reps in a non-threatening environment, and that is really what we can use to develop experience, and not just experience, but good experience. We can learn that way, and we can do it until we can't get it wrong, instead of just doing it until we get it right. And I think that is a big difference with challenges like confirmation bias, because all of us have been there, especially those of us, I'm a product of on-the-job training for years and years and years. You go to these classes within WCG and on the incident management side, and you walk away, and you automatically lose 50% of that knowledge in 48 hours. It's gone. If you have a program, and the program is threaded throughout your organization, that never goes away, and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's doing it. You're involved in sets and reps. You're really trying to establish, and this is a whole nother conversation, but you really need to build a learning organization within the fire department. So, not only on the training side, with capital assets being focused on single family or duplex type of structures, but also in the field, to where when you do have an incident, you can do a formal, very productive after action review, share that information, learn from it throughout the entire job, and then change policy. And that's hard to do, and especially in a bureaucracy. It's incredibly hard to do, to get people to understand that policies are only worth the paper that they're written on. You really have to have guidance or doctrine that is flexible enough to adapt to the situations that we find ourselves in, and understand that those situations change every minute of every day.
How do you suppose that we got this far into the history of firefighting without treating Type 4 and Type 5 incidents as seriously as more serious incidents?
newspapers and magazines love big fires. I don't remember who coined the phrase of fire porn, but somebody did. And it's that's what sells magazines, or that's what sells newspapers or websites, the flashy big incidents. But in the reality, what kills firefighters is these smaller type 4, type 5 fires. I mean, the statistics don't lie about that. And if you overlay the areas where we're exposing ourselves to smoke and carcinogens, which is the same thing, add that threat to it as well, and that's where we're getting our exposure. I don't know why we haven't addressed it until now. I mean, I'm a product of it. I have, like I said, this big training center that's focused on, the mass pandemonium worst case scenario, but realistically, I'd rather just have a house.
Well, and then the obvious question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it is, why aren't you guys doing that? I mean, if you're aware of it, it seems like you're in a perfect position to move for change on it. Oh,
we are. And one of the cool things about what's happening here is we have a really large freeway coming through right in the center of our town. It's called the North-South Freeway. So a large number of neighborhoods and buildings are being vacated and bought out from the project, and it's giving us a chance to actually at no cost to us, we're able to drill in situations where, the same situation that we find in the street. So instead of having a burn tower, we have,
actual houses.
Yeah, we've got so many houses, it's almost ridiculous, which is great for us, but it doesn't solve the long-term problem of developing those sets and reps at our training center. So I think the next capital project that we'll have is exactly that, flexible so that we can change the interior walls, but the majority of the external structure will be built like a residence. And we'll be able to have movable walls so that we can change the type, and go from a ranch to a story and a half, have the story and a half with knee walls. All the things that we run into, especially here in Spokane with older homes, we would like to be able to replicate at the drill site at the training center. But again, that takes capital money, and we've got a lot of other capital projects on the burner, mostly focused on firefighter safety. So, in lieu of moving those capital projects off and putting the prop as a priority, we're just using homes, and a lot of them.
Sounds like your folks are going to be well trained in this, and it may not be an issue, at least in the medium term.
Well, I would hope not. We've got a really young department now. I think we've brought in about 150 or so new people over the last couple of years. So we've got an opportunity. We installed Apple TVs. We're in the process of installing Apple TVs in all the fire stations. So the company officers or the designated adult for the day in those firehouses are going to be able to pull up and do their sets and reps, get comfortable managing everything from single-family residence up to a strip mall or a big box or something more significant. But they'll be able to do that in a learning environment that is really without consequence. So you can make those mistakes. You can try those ideas. You can learn in a non-threatening environment, and again, do it until you can't get it wrong, and then go out on the street and perform and feel a lot more confident. Recognize what challenges we have with our minds, specifically for the context of the conversation, the confirmation bias. But there's so many more. There's so many aspects about psychology that, especially with Dr. Gasaway, when he talks, I learned something from the guy just in casual conversation, and it's really enlightening. The more you can learn about how your mind works, the better incident commander, and I think the better fire officer that you'll make.
All right, Chief Brian Schaeffer, thanks for talking with me today.
No problem. Anytime.
And we put some more information on our website at code3podcast.com/bias. Check it out. Are you ready for your trivia question? Who invented the fire pole and when did they invent it? I'll have the answer right after this.
Now's your chance to get your hands on Code 3 t-shirts, sweatshirts, and more. Show your support for the podcast that supports firefighters from coast to coast. Just go to code3podcast.com and click on the Code 3 store link. Or go to code3podcast.com/shop and tell the world that you're a Code 3 fan.
Here's the trivia answer. David Kenyon, a Chicago firefighter, invented the fire pole in 1878. Before the fire pole, firefighters used spiral staircases or sliding chutes. Why spiral? So the horses used to pull early fire apparatus couldn't walk up them and get into the kitchen with the firefighters, and I am not kidding. Now I'm proud to introduce the first of a semi-regular series on Code 3. I'll call it Scott's Story Archive. It's stories from my past. I worked in TV news for many years and I have some good tales from that time. Today's episode is The Case of the Crashed Cars. This was 1995, give or take a year or two, when I was a TV news photographer in South Carolina. I went to a pretty serious motor vehicle collision. There were 3 vehicles involved. One was upside down, 2 others were a tangled mess. And I was shooting video of the scene, and I got a little closer and a little closer and a little closer. And all of a sudden, a firefighter in a white helmet who was standing on top of one of the cars directing the sawing procedures looked at me and yelled, "Get back! Get out of there!" and looked angry while he was pointing at me to move away. Now, I was pretty young back then, but I thought I knew everything. So I turned to a state trooper I knew who was there, and I said, "Hey, can he do that? Can he make me move?" State trooper said, "Well, Scott, I'll tell you, that's Judge Smith. So, if I were you, I would listen." That was my first experience learning that volunteer fire departments can have a wide range of people involved, including judges. And so I avoided getting into serious trouble that day. Remember, when a judge yells at you to move, you move. All right, that's it. That's all for this edition of Code 3. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next time with more. I hope you'll be here. I'm Scott Orr, and until then, I'll see you later.
Code 3 is a production of Enchanted Sky Media. To get in contact with us, visit code3podcast.com. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you should. Don't miss an episode. Find us at the Apple iTunes Store, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.